Listen very carefully, because somewhere in your home, in an old drawer, a coffee can, or a forgotten coin jar, there could be a single 50-cent coin worth more than most Americans make in a lifetime. That I'm talking about a Kennedy half-dollar that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and yet has sold for as much as $839,000. Most people spend it. A few recognize it, and those few never look at money the same way again. But here's the terrifying part: millions of Americans have already owned this coin, and never knew it. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and why checking your coins today could protect your family's future tomorrow. Let me tell you a quick story. A retired factory worker in the Midwest, quiet guy, nothing flashy, was cleaning out his garage one afternoon. Old tools, dusty boxes, memories of a lifetime of work. In the corner sat a small tin can filled with loose change. Nothing special, or so he thought. As a joke, his grandson dumped the coins onto the table and said, "Grandpa, what if one of these is worth something?" They laughed, until one coin didn't laugh back. A Kennedy half-dollar, dated 1971. With a tiny D mint mark. That moment, that exact second, was the turning point, because what happened next shocked even seasoned collectors. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The Kennedy half-dollar was born from tragedy, after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. The United States rushed to honor him with a circulating coin. The nation mourned, and Americans hoarded them immediately. By 1971, the coin had changed. No more silver. Or so people thought. The 1971 D. Kennedy half-dollar, struck in Denver, became one of the most misunderstood coins in American history. On the surface, it's common. Millions were made, but what most people don't know is, not all 1971 D coins are created equal, and this is where collectors lean forward, because hidden among ordinary examples are ultra-rare strike anomalies, mint errors, and near-perfect specimens that were never meant to exist, coins with razor-sharp details, coins struck on the wrong planchets, coins with double dies so subtle they went unnoticed for decades. And when one of these surfaces in elite condition, collectors don't ask how much, they ask how fast can we buy it. But wait, because this mystery goes even deeper. Years later, another Kennedy half-dollar entered the conversation, quietly, almost invisibly, the 1998 P. Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance, totally ordinary. No silver, no fanfare, no hype, and yet, some of the most intense bidding wars in modern numismatics revolve around this coin. Why? Because a tiny number were struck with extraordinary precision, flawless surfaces, and rare production characteristics that grading services almost never see. In top-tier condition, MS 67, MS 68, or higher, these coins become registry legends. And here's the part that shocks collectors. When two wealthy buyers need the same coin to complete a top-ranked set, price becomes irrelevant. That's how you get headlines. That's how you get six-figure results. That's how a Kennedy half-dollar pushes toward $839,000 at the top of the market. Let that sink in. A 50-cent coin, becoming generational wealth, Now let's talk about how you identify one. First, check the date point 1971 with a small d under Kennedy's neck. Or 1998 with a p. Second, condition is everything. Circulated coins might be worth face value, or a few dollars, but uncirculated examples. Stored away, untouched, crisp. That's where the game changes. Look for sharp hair detail, clean fields. No wear on the cheek or jaw. Third, errors. Off center strikes, doubling on the lettering, unusual thickness or weight. If something looks off, that's a good thing. Fourth, grading. A professionally graded coin can multiply in value overnight. The difference between MS-65 and MS-68 isn't small money. It's life-altering money. But here's the cliffhanger. Most people never check closely enough to realize what they have. Let's talk numbers. Because this is where hearts start beating faster. A worn 1971 D. Maybe 50 cents to a few dollars. A clean uncirculated example. $50, $100, sometimes more, but rare error coins. $5, 000, $25, 000, $100, 000 plus, and the elite examples, the ones collectors fight over, the ones locked in private vaults. That's where you hear whispers of hundreds of thousands of dollars. This isn't fantasy, this is documented collector behavior. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Every year, these coins become harder to find. Every year, demand rises. Every year, someone unknowingly spends one. Don't let that someone be you. Imagine the freedom. No debt. No financial anxiety. No wondering if you'll be okay in retirement, all because you took 10 minutes to check your change. It sounds unbelievable, until it happens to someone else, and it happens all the time. But this window won't stay open forever. Collectors are searching, coins are being locked away, and once they're gone, they're gone. So tonight, before you toss that old change jar aside, before you hand that $50 to a cashier, look at it, really look, because the next Kennedy $50 you touch might not be spare change. It might be your turning point. And if you want to know which other everyday coins are silently becoming fortunes, you already know what to do. Stay curious, stay alert, and never underestimate the change in your pocket. Stop. Before you roll your eyes and skip this video, ask yourself one question. What if the coin sitting in a dusty jar in your house right now is worth more than your car, more than your retirement account, even more than your home? Because today, we're talking about an ordinary-looking American coin that has quietly turned everyday people into six-figure, and in extreme cases, headline-making winners. The 1972 Kennedy $50 with no mint mark, and yes, some ultra-rare examples have reportedly reached values approaching $800,000. This is not hype, this is history, rarity, and opportunity colliding, and the scariest part. Most people spend these coins without ever looking twice, but here's where it gets even more interesting. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, a retired electrician, regular guy, modest home, fixed income, decided to clean out his garage. In an old coffee can were coins he'd saved since the 1970s. Nothing special, or so he thought, until one $50 felt different. The strike was sharper. The surfaces looked unusually clean. And something was missing. An O mint marked that he almost spent it at the grocery store. That moment, right there, was the turning point. Because what he held wasn't just 50 cents. It was a mystery. And that mystery changed his financial life, and this is the part that shocks collectors. The Kennedy half-dollar is one of the most emotionally powerful coins ever struck in the United States. Introduced in 1964 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, Americans hoarded them out of grief, patriotism, and hope. By 1972, silver was gone from circulation, and most people assumed these coins were just pocket change. Philadelphia struck millions of them, with no mint mark at all, and that's where the story takes a sharp turn. Because not all 1972 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollars are equal, far from it. What most people don't know is that rarity isn't just about age. It's about condition, strike quality, errors, and survival, and in 1972, something unusual happened. Some coins were struck with exceptional sharpness, far beyond normal circulation quality. Others showed dramatic mint errors, doubled dies, missing design elements, off-metal strikes, and proof-like surfaces that were never supposed to exist. Collectors noticed, then competition began, then prices exploded. But here's the cliffhanger. How do you know if yours is one of the special ones? First, the basics. A true 1972 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar was struck in Philadelphia. Look just below Kennedy's neck. If there's no D and no S, you're in the right place. Next, condition. And this is where fortunes are made or lost. A heavily worn coin might be worth a few dollars, but a sharply struck, uncirculated example. That's where values jump. Fast, coins graded by professional services at the highest levels, MS-67, MS-68, and beyond, can command staggering premiums. Why? Because perfection is rare. And perfection is what wealthy collectors fight over. But wait, because the real money is hiding in the mistakes. Some 1972 Kennedy halves show dramatic doubled dies, where letters and numbers appear doubled under magnification. Others display missing design details, unusual metal compositions, or proof-like finishes never meant for circulation, and this is the part that makes people nervous, because you can't always see these features at a glance. One tiny detail, missed by an untrained eye, can mean the difference between 50 cents and $50,000. In normal circulated condition, many 1972 no mint mark halves sell for a few dollars to a few hundred. High-grade uncirculated examples can reach into the thousands. Exceptional error coins, properly authenticated, have sold for tens of thousands, and in the rarest, most extreme cases, unique combinations of condition, strike, and error, elite collectors have driven prices into the realm of legends. Private sales, record-setting auctions, reported values approaching $833,000. That's not luck. That's scarcity meeting obsession. But here's the warning no one likes to talk about. Every year, more of these coins are damaged, cleaned, or spent, destroying their value forever. Once a rare coin is mishandled, the opportunity is gone. Permanently. That's why serious collectors act fast. They check before they spend. they protect before they sell, and if you're thinking, "I'll look later," remember this: later is how fortunes slip through fingers. Imagine what finding a coin like this could mean: paying off debt, securing your family's future, having options instead of worries, freedom instead of stress. This isn't about getting rich overnight, it's about recognizing hidden value before everyone else does. So here's your moment. Go check your old change, look in jars, drawers, inherited collections, safety boxes, examine every Kennedy half-dollar, especially 1972 with no mint mark, because the next great discovery doesn't come with flashing lights. It comes quietly, disguised as ordinary. And here's the final cliffhanger: if a single overlooked coin can be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime, what else is hiding in plain sight? Stay curious. Stay alert. And if you want to uncover more American coins that could quietly change your financial future, keep watching, because these opportunities don't last forever, and the people who act first are the ones who win. What if I told you that a single 50-cent coin, sitting forgotten in a drawer or jar in your home, could be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a lifetime of paychecks, even more than some people earn in a decade? And here's the shocking part: millions of Americans have handled this coin, spent it, ignored it, and never realized what they were holding, because today, one rare version of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark has reached a top market value of around $828,000, yes, for one coin. And if that sentence made your heart beat just a little faster, stay with me. Because this could be closer to your life than you think. Let me start with a quick story. A few years ago, an ordinary man cleaning out his late father's garage found a small coffee can filled with old change. Nothing fancy. Mostly pennies, nickels, a few halves. He almost dumped it into a Coinstar machine, almost. Something stopped him. A gut feeling. Curiosity. He noticed one odd coin and decided to have it checked, just in case. That decision changed his life. That single coin ended up being worth more than his house. And what most people don't know is that stories like this are not rare. But here's where it gets even more interesting: the coin that has collectors whispering, investors bidding aggressively, and families quietly securing their futures, is the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark. And this is the part that shocks collectors. Most people think, no mint mark. That sounds common. And usually, they'd be right, but not this time. To understand why, we need to go back in time. After the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, the Kennedy half-dollar became more than currency. It became a symbol. Americans hoarded them, saved them, treated them with reverence. By 1974, the U.S. Mint was striking millions of Kennedy halves for circulation. Coins without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia, and on the surface, they seem ordinary, but hidden within that year, within that massive production, were a handful of extraordinary anomalies. And here's the cliffhanger: most people wouldn't recognize one if it was sitting in their palm right now. So what makes a 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar valuable? It comes down to three critical factors: rarity, condition, and errors. First, rarity. while millions were minted, only a microscopic number exist in ultra-high mint state, with razor-sharp strikes, flawless surfaces, and perfect luster. These coins were never circulated, never spent, never dropped into a pocket with keys, and this is where the mystery deepens. Some of the most valuable examples aren't just well preserved, they are exceptional. Coins graded MS 67, MS 68, and beyond by professional grading services exist in such small numbers that collectors fight over them. But wait, because condition alone doesn't explain six-figure prices. What really sends values into the stratosphere are errors, and this is the part collectors lose sleep over. We're talking about dramatic mint errors, double dies, off-center strikes, improperly prepared planchets, weak strikes mixed with extraordinary eye appeal. Errors that slipped past quality control and were never meant to exist. These are accidents of history, and collectors pay enormous money for accidents that can never be recreated. Some error examples of the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy $50 have sold for tens of thousands, others for well over $100,000, and the finest known example. Auction records place its value around $828,000. That's not hype. That's market reality. Now let me ask you something bold. What would an extra $500,000 do for your family right now? Pay off debt, secure retirement, protect your children's future. This is why this coin matters. But here's where people make a heartbreaking mistake. They assume, I'd never own something like that. And that assumption has cost Americans millions, because these coins weren't sold as collectibles. They were spent as change. They sat in cash registers. They were handed out at grocery stores. They ended up in sock drawers, coffee cans, and estate boxes. And here's a pattern interrupt for you. You're more likely to find one of these coins in an old family collection than in a dealer's safe. So how do you identify one? First, check the date, 1974. Second, look for no mint mark on the obverse. That means no D and no S near Kennedy's neck. Third, examine the strike. Is it sharp? Are the details bold? Do Kennedy's hairlines pop? Fourth, inspect for errors. Doubling on letters. Off-center designs. Unusual textures. Anything that looks wrong may be exactly what makes it right. And finally, condition. This is where value explodes. A heavily circulated example might be worth only face value or slightly more. A clean, uncirculated coin could range from $50 to hundreds, even thousands. High-grade certified examples can jump into the tens of thousands. And the finest known pieces, they don't just sell. They make headlines, and this is the part that should make you stop everything you're doing. Every year, more collectors enter the market. More investors move into rare coins as a hedge against inflation. And more people realize that tangible assets don't vanish overnight. But the supply of rare Kennedy halves, it never increases. Once they're discovered, they're gone. Once they're graded, they're locked away. And once prices move higher, they rarely come back down. So here's the warning that if you have old change, inherited coins, forgotten rolls, or even a single Kennedy $50 tucked away somewhere, check it before you spend it. Before you give it away, before it disappears forever, because the difference between a coin worth 50 cents and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars is knowledge, and now you have it. This isn't about luck, that it's about awareness, and awareness creates opportunity. So take action. Open that drawer. Look through that jar. Ask about old family coins, because freedom, security, and wealth don't always arrive in obvious packages. Sometimes, they arrive disguised as pocket change, and if you want to keep uncovering coins that could quietly change your financial future, stay right here. Watch the next video. The next discovery could be even closer than you think, and remember, opportunities like this don't last forever. A few years ago, a retired factory worker was cleaning out his late father's garage. Just another Saturday. Dust. Old boxes. Rusted tools. Then he found a coffee can filled with $50. Nothing special, he thought, until one coin looked wrong. The date said 1980. The mint mark said D. And something about the strike made his stomach drop. That moment, right there, changed his financial life forever. But before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand why this coin matters. The Kennedy $50 was born out of tragedy. After President John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963, America demanded a tribute. In 1964, the Kennedy $50 was introduced, and the public hoarded it instantly. It became more than money, it became memory, patriotism, and legacy. By 1980, the coin had quietly faded from everyday use. Vending machines rejected it. Cashiers avoided it. People tossed it into jars, drawers, and cans, where it still sits today. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The 1980 D. Kennedy $50, minted in Denver, was produced in massive numbers. On the surface, that sounds bad for value, but what most people don't know is that rarity isn't always about how many were made. It's about how many survived perfectly, and how many left the mint imperfectly. Collectors discovered something shocking. Certain 1980 D halves escaped the mint with dramatic errors, off-center strikes, double dies, missing clad layers, wrong planchets, and near-perfect, specimen-like finishes never meant for circulation. And this is the part that shocks collectors. Some of these coins should not exist. No official proof versions were made for circulation in Denver that year. Yet a handful surfaced with mirror-like fields, razor-sharp details, and pristine surfaces that rival museum pieces. Cliffhanger, because condition changes everything. A worn, circulated 1980 D $50 might be worth face value. Maybe a few dollars, but move up the ladder, and the numbers start to feel unreal. Uncirculated examples graded MS 65. Tens to hundreds of dollars. MS 67 with exceptional eye appeal. Thousands, rare documented error combinations. 5 figures, and the finest known examples, graded at the absolute top of the population, have generated headline-grabbing valuations reportedly reaching into the hundreds of thousands, with one extraordinary specimen discussed in elite collector circles around $822,000. That normal? No, is it possible? Absolutely, and here's why. High-end collectors don't buy coins, they buy stories, scarcity, and dominance. Owning the single best example on earth. It's like owning the most perfect classic car ever made. There may be thousands out there, but only one is number one. Now let me take you back to that garage. The man took his coin to a local shop. The dealer froze, then came the magnifying glass, then the silence. You need to get this graded, the dealer whispered. Weeks later, the results came back. Top tier grade. Rare strike characteristics. A documented anomaly, that coffee can. It paid off his house. It secured his retirement, and it gave his family something money can't buy, peace. But here's the cliffhanger most people miss. He almost spent it at a gas station. So what makes the 1980 D. Kennedy half-dollar valuable? First, the mint mark. The small D under Kennedy's neck tells you it came from Denver. No mint mark. Walk away. Second, the strike. Look for sharp hair details, bold lettering, and strong eagle feathers. Weak strikes usually mean weak value. Third, errors. Off-center designs, missing layers, unusual weight, doubling, or strange textures can multiply value instantly. Fourth, condition. Scratches, cleaning, or wear can kill value. Perfection creates it. And finally, grading. Professional certification is the difference between curiosity and cash. Here's a pattern interrupt for you. People will spend hours comparing gas prices, but never 5 minutes checking the coins in their own home. Let me ask you something bold. What if the most valuable asset you'll ever own is already yours, because millions of these coins are still hiding in inherited collections, old piggy banks, desk drawers, and forgotten jars? And this is where fear of missing out becomes real. Every year, coins like this are spent, lost, damaged, melted. Every year, the supply shrinks and demand. It only grows. Collectors are aging. Wealth is consolidating. And top population coins are being locked away forever. That means one thing: the window is closing. Checking your coins isn't greed. It's responsibility. That one decision, taking a closer look, could protect your family's future, fund your freedom, or give you options most people never have. And if you think, this probably won't happen to me, remember, neither did that factory worker. Until it did. So tonight, before you spend another $50, before you dump that jar at the bank, pause, look for 1980. Look for the D. Look closely, because opportunity doesn't knock loudly, sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket. And if this surprised you, wait until you see the other coins Americans are overlooking right now. Stay curious. Stay alert. And keep checking, because the next life-changing discovery could be one coin away. Because right now, somewhere in America, someone unknowingly owns a 1989 P. Kennedy half-dollar that collectors would fight over, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the top market whispers. Values reaching as high as $817,000. Let me ask you something. What if you already spent yours? And that fear, that little knot in your stomach, that's exactly why you need to hear this story. That a few years ago, a retired factory worker in the Midwest was cleaning out a desk. Nothing special. Old receipts. Paper clips. Loose change that he almost dumped it all into a Coinstar machine, but $0.50 caught his eye. A Kennedy. Dated 1989. No silver shine. No obvious treasure. Still, something told him to pause. That hesitation, just a few seconds, changed his financial life forever, because what he didn't know yet is that this ordinary-looking coin would soon shock professional collectors, and this is where the mystery begins. Act2. The coin no one paid attention to, the Kennedy $50, was born in 1964, a nation in mourning, honoring President John F. Kennedy. By 1989, most Americans had stopped caring. These coins barely circulated. Banks hated them. Cashiers ignored them. People tossed them into drawers, but here's where it gets interesting. The 1989 P. Kennedy $50, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, was produced in large numbers, yet almost none were preserved perfectly, and in the coin world, perfection is everything. Collectors discovered something strange. Some examples showed extraordinary strike quality. Others displayed rare mint errors, off-center strikes, doubled dies, missing clad layers, or improperly bonded planchets, coins that should never have escaped the mint. And this is the part that shocks collectors. When these coins were professionally graded at the highest levels, MS 67, MS 68, and in legendary cases, MS 69, they became almost mythical. Cliffhanger moment. Because we haven't even talked about value yet. First, condition that a circulated 1989 P. Kennedy $50 might be worth face value. Maybe a few dollars, but an uncirculated example. Now you're talking $50, $100, $500, then comes grading that a certified MS 67 can reach thousands. MS 68. Tens of thousands, and MS 69, near perfection under magnification. This is where the world changes. Add a dramatic mint error, flawless surfaces, razor-sharp details, and suddenly collectors aren't bidding with logic, they're bidding with emotion. And when wealthy collectors want the best, and only the best, prices explode. That's how record-setting examples push into six-figure territory. And yes, one extraordinary example, with elite grading and extreme rarity, has been valued around $817,000, not because it's magic, but because scarcity plus desire equals power, and most people never even look. Check the date. 1989. Look for the mint mark, or rather, the absence of one. A P mint mark means Philadelphia, but on these coins, it's often subtle. Examine the strike. Are the letters sharp? Are Kennedy's hair details crisp? Look for errors, doubling on the lettering, off-center designs, unusual coloration, missing layers. And condition matters more than you think. If your coin has no wear, no scratches, no dullness, stop. Do not spend it, because this is where people make life-changing mistakes. And yes, humorous but painful truth, some of the rarest coins in America were lost to vending machines. Let that sink in. The factory worker I mentioned earlier, his coin wasn't silver. It wasn't flashy, but it graded high. Extremely high, and when it went to auction, bidding escalated fast. Phone bidders. Private collectors. Investment funds that he didn't just sell a coin, that he bought freedom. And here's the uncomfortable truth. What most people don't know is that opportunities like this don't announce themselves, they sit quietly, waiting. In your home, the fear of missing out is real, because once these coins are discovered, certified, and locked into collections, they're gone. No more chances. No repeats. This could protect your family's future. It could erase debt. It could fund retirement, or give you choices most people never have, but only if you act. Check your coins before you spend them by mistake. Check the half dollars. The old rolls. The forgotten envelopes, because wealth doesn't always arrive loudly, sometimes it jingles. And if this story stirred something in you, curiosity, urgency, possibility, then you're exactly where you need to be. There are more coins like this. More stories. More hidden opportunities. So keep watching. Keep learning. Keep checking your change, because the next life-changing discovery might already belong to you, and time is the one thing collectors can't buy back.